So, Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies have won 10 games in a row, and I think it's time to call Ja Morant a superstar. In his third season, he's averaging 25 points, 5.7 rebounds, 6.7 assists, and 1.4 steals. The Grizzlies are one of the best teams in the NBA at 29 and 14. They're the fourth seed in the West, but tied for third in terms of games back. And Ja Morant is doing all this on good efficiency, 49% from the field, 38% from three, and 77% from the free throw line. And one of the most impressive stats for Ja Morant this season is the amount of points in the paint. He's averaging 14.8 points in the paint at 6'3". The only two guys above him are Giannis and Jokic, and almost everyone else on the list is a big guy. So to be doing it with his frame and his height is very, very impressive. And I think one of the biggest factors is that people just can't stay in front of him. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA. Overall, he's just one of the most athletic players in the NBA. But, when he's on the perimeter, he's getting blow-bys almost constantly. And it's either that or it's a good screen from Steven Adams or Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brandon Clark. But he's able to get into the paint at an elite rate for a finisher. Another way he gets to the paint is in transition. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA, and the Grizzlies are a young team. They like to run. I feel like every time they get out in transition, it ends up in an alley-oop, whether it's Ja throwing it or on the receiving end of it. And once he gets to the paint, he's a very good finisher and a creative finisher. He obviously has the floater that he's been using more regularly this season, and is a good weapon when he doesn't want to go into or at a big man, but he can also do that. He's obviously tried a ton of dunks. Some have landed, some haven't, but he's definitely not scared to go up like that. And then obviously his layup finishes can be very creative and very good. Sometimes it just looks like he gets that arm extension and is able to finish. He also has great hang time, and a few times he's had a few clutch buckets. Obviously, I think it was a near game winner against the Sun. There's like 6 seconds left, and he did one where he hung in the air, double pumped, and finished it. He's done that a few times. He did one late against the Cavs. But yeah, he's one of the best finishers around the rim and has lots of different finishes, which, yeah, again, at 6'3" is very, very impressive because he doesn't have the size, but he has the athleticism. He has the fearlessness, and he does have the finishes. He's also a good passer, a good playmaker. Obviously, 6.7 assists a game speak for themselves. And yeah, I don't have too much to add there, but yeah, he's able to throw lobs. He's able to make simple passes when he's doubled. Just overall, he's a good creator and a good scorer. His three-point shooting too. It's not a ton of attempts, it's about 4 a game, but to be a reliable three-point shooter, I think that's important, and that's something that, he could even take up even more, whether it's volume. A good majority of them are also still, tough shots, like off the dribble, just because he is the guy. He does have the ball a lot, and yeah, I think the three-point shooting is definitely also something important for him, but I'd say right now the main thing is definitely his ability to get to and finish at the rim. There's also the intangible stuff. Just sort of a fun factor. This is more with the Grizzlies overall of, them running in transition and them being a team that talks a lot of trash, and then sort of being the fun young team right now, and I'm totally on board with it. He's also a really unselfish player, which isn't something you see very often, especially you think a guy so young, playing so well. He could, I feel like I'm not totally criticizing Luka and Trey, but one thing is Ja Morant is willing to go off ball, and when he does, there's not a ton of coming off screens or anything like that, but he's not totally disengaged. Like he'll sometimes he'll come up to get the ball, He'll just be involved, and he won't look disinterested, which is something that sometimes happens with other star young players like Luka or Trey. If they ever give up the ball, they're like standing near half court, and there isn't any of that with Ja Morant. He's always playing hard, using his athleticism, using his energy, and That's something that you can't really measure with a stat, but I think it's very important and definitely buys into the philosophy of this Grizzlies team. To talk a little bit about the Grizzlies, 10-game winning streak, wins over the Warriors tonight, the Suns, the Nets. They're beating good teams, and they are a very good team. I think some of the things, the defense has improved. At the start of the season, they weren't a good defense, and then when Ja Morant went out, they picked it up, and they've been still playing very good defense since Ja Morant has come back. Also, the intensity, especially tonight against the Warriors, they were playing really hard on defense, and they're a young team, and that's something they do really well. They're always putting in maximum effort, and it feels like they have a lot of energy. They've also been a very good rebounding team. Obviously, Steven Adams playing a big part in that. He's a very good rebounder. And then they just have a ton of depth. I mean, they didn't even have Steven Adams and Dylan Brooks tonight against the Warriors, but I feel like they have 12, 13 guys who you'd be comfortable with giving minutes to, and that's an asset, especially this season with all the injuries and players going out in protocol that not many teams have. So it'll be interesting to see what their rotations look like when they're at full strength. But yeah, overall, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies are very fun.